Hi guys, welcome back. This is now issue 13 of Build the Classic Routemaster. Okay, so as you can probably guess, I've just done actually issue 12, which you saw last week. I thought I'd go straight on and do this while it was fresh in my mind. Obviously, I've got my tweezers out still and everything I need. So, without further ado, let's crack on. So here we are again. Again, this is issue 13. I've got all the parts in this bag. So let me just crack these open and we'll just double check all the parts. Now, if you remember from last week, everything was marked with an L. So hopefully this week we should have the same parts, but obviously marked with an R this time. Hopefully. So cross fingers for me. So let's just go through the parts again. 13B, which is a right rear suspension arm, and I can see that this has got an R written on there, so that is good. So we're doing exactly the same as last week, but obviously the other side. I'll get rid of these screws for the moment. So we've got 13A, which are two shock dampeners again. 13C, again, which is a suspension hinge, which is this part here. This hasn't got anything written on it. So, but I'm guessing that this is going to work either way anyway. Okay, so we've got another one of those. 13D, right brake mount. And again, that has got an R written in there, so we know we've got the correct part there. 13E, again, is the brake lever. Okay, so this time it's slightly different. It's more of a T shape, so that is a different part. 13J is another stiffener, which is that very fragile piece of plastic that we glued in last time. So I've got the glue ready for that. So 13K is obviously a brake line, which is just a hollow tube. We've got 13L, which is another spring. We've got 13E, which is a brake lever, and again that has got an R etched into the side there, so we know that that is the correct side. 13F, which is another the brake cylinder, again that has got an R written on the back. And what else we got? Again, we've got two brake line connectors. Again, they're the same, but they are directional, which we will find out later on in the build. And then we've got 13H, which is another bracket, which again has an R written on there. Okay, so that's all the parts. I'm happy with them. And then we've obviously got all our screws again. So we've got some CM screws, DP, FM, EP, and HM. So I'm just going to get out the CM screws. Because I know we're going to be using them fairly early on. So the first thing we're going to do, again, like last week, we're going to take this, we're going to look on the inside, locate these two holes here, and then we're going to put the right brake mount, and we're going to seat that into those holes like so. Okay, then with a CM screw on the right hand side, just there, we're going to put the CM screw. So I'm going to use some washing up liquids as normal. I'm going to stop saying that. I'll mention it once on each issue. I mean, you know, if it's a CM screw or a screw ending in M, you know it's going to go into metal. So then I'm going to use washing up liquids just to aid the screw. There we go. If it ends in P, like these EPs, you know it's going to be going into plastics. There's no need for washing up liquid in that case. Okay, so that is that part in. Okay, the next step, again, we're going to be adding the brake cylinder, which is this part here, which looks a bit like a butterfly, I would say. Again, that's only going to go in one way. You've got a locating pin on the back there, and that's going to fit into the bottom corner. It won't go in any other way, so that is pretty straightforward. So we're going to pop that in, and that's going to sit like that. And then we're going to put a screw, a CM screw, into the top hole. Just there. I'm just going to grab a CM. Okay, and that has gone in beautifully. There we go. Okay, the next step again is we're going to take the brake lever 13E and check the orientation matches. So again, if you remember last time, there was a key you can just see etched into there, and that is going to... Oh, I've got a brake lever stuck to my elbow. A brake connector. There is a keyway just on there. You can see the notch at the top. So we're going to line that up, and at the same time we're going to slip that it's a little bit of a looser fit than the last one, but we're going to line that up, slot that between those two arms, line that hole up and line that hole up, and that's going to fit in there like so. And then once we're going to do that, we're going to use two types of screw. We're going to use a DP and a CM. So again, I'm going to use the DP first. Because I want to get that hole there lined up. And then very carefully just edge that in, because we want it to line up. And then remember, just keep an eye on that. Brilliant. That's caught both sides. Because if you remember, if it's not lined up, you can just see that it will push the other side of this connector down, and then you might end up with a broken part. but that hasn't gone in too badly at all. I'm happy with that. That is in secure. So doing that with the DP screw, we're going to then use a CM screw in this top hole here. Again, be extra vigilant with the instructions and make sure you, because this issue and the previous, there's been a lot of swapping screws around. So we're using different screws all the time for different parts. Okay, so there's the CM screw just gone in there. So CM there in the top hole and a DP in the bottom hole. And then we've got something that looks like that. Okay, again, we're going to take a brake line connector, and with the thicker side facing upwards, we're going to slot that in on that lever there, like we did before. And then again, it's going to sit like that, and it's going to face away down the shaft down here. Okie doke. So with that, we're going to use the DP screw, and then we need the spring. So again, we're going to have the longer part. If you remember, one side of the spring had a longer part than the other side. The longer part is going to go on the butterfly. And that's going to be at the lower position when you fit that on. And then once that's in place, again, we're going to use a DP screw to secure the spring through there, through the brake line connector. So I'm just going to come down and do that one now. Okay, lovely. Okay, and again, be careful that the screw doesn't push the back of that brake line connector down, otherwise it may snap. Okay, so that's just loosely in at the moment, and then I'm going to get this other screw in just here to secure the other side of that spring in, and then with that we're going to use a CM screw. Okay, and that CM screw isn't very good because it's just spinning. So I'm just going to remove that and try a different screw. It could be the thread, in which case I may use a tiny bit of glue just to secure that into place. Okay, it was just a duff screw. I've not had that before. The screw was duff. That has tightened up now. So I guess that's why they send us spares. So there you go. That is all that incomplete. So now I'm just going to finish tightening up the other side. Not too tight. And then we've got something that looks like that. Okay, the next step is we're going to attach the stiffener, and again, you've got two holes. You've got one just there, and then you've got this very small one just down here. So on the stiffener, you've got a larger side with a big bracket on. That is going to go at the bottom, and then this other piece is going to fit into that hole there. So I'm going to get the tweezers. And again, for this, I'm going to glue this straight away because I know it's not going to fit very well. It's supposed to be a push-fit connection. I've still got some glue on here from previous. I'm just going to dunk that in and then carefully put these in the holes. And there we have that part into place, which is now glued. Okay, step 7, we're going to take the brake line as we did before, and we're just going to slot that over the connector. Like so. And again, I'm not going to glue that at the moment, but I may do later on. But for now, I'm just going to leave that loose. So next we're going to fit the bracket with a DP screw. So we've got this bracket here that we had, and again that is going to go into inside there, and you've got just a small hole to the top left there. That is where this locating pin is going to seat. And once that's in, it should look like that. And then from the other side, we're going to secure that with a DP. Again, not too tight because we're screwing through metal into plastic, so we don't want to damage anything. That is nice and tight. Okay. Next, we're going to fit the control lever, which is different shape in this issue. This is more of a T shape. Okay, so I'm just getting the orientation. Okay, so with it this way up, you want this into the bracket like so. So these two outer levers are sloping downwards, and the one at the top is actually sloping upwards. So you want that to go in there like so, if you can see that. So the outer ones are sloping downwards, and then that top one is upwards. So once that's in place, we're going to secure that with an EP screw. And I'm just going to refer back one issue, because I just want to check, because I've spotted a slight difference. Yeah, that is correct. Okay, so I'll explain. On this one, we need an EP screw, which I'll just grab out now. So I've got quite a good memory. So when we affix this bracket, we're going to put this EP screw from the top, but in the last issue, it asked us to put it through from the bottom. So I just wanted to double check that that was correct. But I think the reason for that is I'm guessing this is going to sort of go like this. So it's not going to make any difference at all, so ignore me. I was thinking because they were opposites, it may have shifted round. So, but yeah, it wants the screw through the top of this one. And I did check the magazine on the other one, and it did definitely say screw through the bottom. So again, wait till you get a bite. Just slowly bring that through, keeping an eye on the other end, because you want to make sure that that fits through the other side of that bracket. Which it has. And then you want to hold that straight. I will show you in a minute. Tighten that up. And then it wants to sit like that. So that point is sticking directly outwards, and this is going to be facing either end of that bar. Okay, so that is that part done. Okay, so part 10, which I missed last time. In this hole here, we're going to add another brake connector. Now that is going to go with the, obviously you've got the thicker side there, that's going to face downwards. And I'll give you a better view in a second. And we're going to use a DP screw to secure that in from the bottom this time. And then I'm going to use my tweezers to bring that up. And there we go. So again, from the bottom, we're going to secure that onto that connector onto there like so. Let me move that out of the way. And then again, that's facing sort of in that general direction. And I guess that this brake line will eventually connect onto there like so, but it hasn't told us to do so yet, so I'm just going to leave that off for the moment. Okay, so the next part is we're going to need some FM screws, or a FM screw, not screws, and a HM screw. So I'm just going to get these ready. And we're going to be fitting this suspension hinge on. So again, you've got the wider side and the thinner side. So you want the thinner side on this open side, and then the wider side is going on the smooth side. And then we're going through this hole at the very tip. And I've got no issues with paint on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a HM screw. With some washing up liquid. And the HM screw is obviously longer, so it's going to go through the thicker side of this, what do they call it? Hinge, suspension hinge. So I've just started that off, and then I'm going to get a FM screw, and that's going to go in the opposite side. So again, we're using two different types of screws for this. So I'm just going to put that in the other side before I tighten the other side up for a final tighten. So that's that one, and then the other side. There we go, and that is solid. It doesn't say anything about leaving it to move, so that is solid. Okay, then we should have something that looks like that. We're getting there, we're slowly getting there. Okay, so this just leaves the last part, and that is to put the two dampeners on to these pins on the top. Now remember I said that there was an issue with these, so let's find out. And yeah, we've still got the same issue. So I'm going to put one in first. Which is the correct one. So again, you've got a wider side, and you've got a ring. You're just about to see the mould ring on there. That's going to face downwards. Push onto there like so. And the cut-out edge is going to face this side. So that has gone on nicely. Now, this is the same problem. You've got the ring there, so that indicates that that goes face downwards. But if we do that, the cutout is not going to be in the right place. It's going to be opposite this one. This needs to be turned round. And it needs to go on this way. Now it's a super tight fit because obviously the hole is slightly wider the other side, but it will go on with some persuasion, like mine has. And then it's going to look like that. You want the groove here, the edge facing the inside like that. Okay, so it is a bit disappointing because it does mean it's going to have the ring there. But I have seen the process of this build, because obviously I'm a fair few issues behind, and I know that that is not going to make any difference because you won't actually really see, you're not going to see that. So I'm happy with that. As long as it's on there, I'm happy. Phew, and I can breathe. That was quite intense, I must admit. I'm going red and quite hot. That was intense. I was just more worried about breaking anything, so just be careful because a lot of these parts are obviously plastic, and I didn't want to break anything. But that is, I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. So what with this and the one that we did from last week, we've now got a matching pair. Okay, and the only difference I've actually really noticed, and I'll be interested to know, it may be difficult for some of you to see this now because you've probably fitted it to your, you're more advanced in the build. On these brackets, I didn't even spot the difference. It's difficult to see. Okay, so this one doesn't have a locating pin on it, but this one does, just on the corner there. I'm not sure if this one is supposed to have one or not. I'm guessing not, because it doesn't even look like it should be there, or it's fallen off, or it's a misprint. But obviously you've got one, this one hasn't, and this one has got a locating pin. So I'll be interested to know if you can tell whether yours is the same, or those that may be on about the same sort of at the same progress that I am. If you could just double check and let me know in the comments below. Just be interesting. I don't think it won't make much difference because as long as the screw holes line up, we're good to go. But see, apart from that, and obviously in this issue, this plastic dampener that is wrong. Now, Paint with Pennies actually worked this out, and if you get another issue 12, you can use one of the dampeners from issue 12 to replace this one in issue 13. That's up to you. However, I'm not going to do that because I'm happy with that. That's not coming off. It doesn't look odd. I have got a slight ring on it, but as I say, when this is fitted in the chassis and then you've got the the shell on, you're not going to see that because that's going to be uppermost. You're going to see possibly this bottom piece here from underneath the bus if you were to look, but that will get hidden by the wheel arch. So again, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you to all those that have already. As normal, thank you so much for your support. If you wish to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description below. But until next week, take care, have fun, and see you later.